Proceed.
All right, but it's nice to see the savings that everyone has.
Do people know what aggregation means?
Aggregation means that we are locked in a 3-year contract. So for the 3 years, the price of your electricity is not going up. It's staying the same. It's staying at 10 cents. I believe we have about a year and a half left on it. So for the next year and a half, we're going to be staying with that low rate. And then once that's up, we're going to continue to stay in with a low rate. It might not be the same. It's higher, it's lower. It depends on where energy costs are. Right now, with conflict in Ukraine, it might be a little higher, but hopefully that will be resolved by then. Hopefully that will have a better energy cost. All right, community chargers. So in a push to get more residents to have EVs, in a push to have more electric fleets for the town, we have community chargers located across town. I created a map that's on our website that highlights where all of the charging stations are. These are all free charging stations. And if you're going to the middle school, if you're going to town hall, there's one across the street from the library. If you're coming in, take advantage of these. Hopefully it's going to push residents who might not have access to an electric car to say, well, I can charge it downtown. Like, this could be something that's doable. And there's a lot of rebates on them right now. So we'll get into that later. So if anyone's wondering where free charging stations are across town, on the website under sustainability, we have a map.
These are all level 2 chargers.
These are all level 2 chargers. Charge your car in 2 hours. Maybe not, the one at town hall is a little slow. In the winter, it might take a little longer.
Well, it depends how big your battery is and how far down it is.
Yeah, I found that most level 2s, they'll charge most cars in 2 hours. They have 4-hour slots on all of them. So hopefully in that 4 hours, your car will be fully charged. Someone who frequents the town hall one every day, I can tell you that in those 4 hours, my car does get charged. All right. And then going into trash recycling and more being compost, but we'll get into that more on the next slide. So Ashland has a pay-as-you-throw bag system. The goal of this is to reduce our waste, encourage people to recycle because recycling is free. I found this recycling quiz that I thought we could all take. It's just 12 questions, I guess. But to gain or see what our recycling knowledge is, because I was even surprised by something. All right, so lids and caps. If you're on the Zoom, you can type in the answer. I'm having trouble hearing me.
Yes.
I'm a quiet person. I'm sorry. So if you're online, maybe you can type it in or yell out the answer. But lids and caps should be removed before recycling. True or false?
Oh, false.
Correct. Right. Plastic bottles, jugs, jars, and tubs from the kitchen, laundry room, and bathroom are recyclable.
True. I know. I've been throwing them in there.
That one is true. Just as long as you wash them out. All right.
If you don't wash them out, what happens?
It's considered contaminated, and then the whole truck of recyclables will be thrown away.
Oh.
So, like, I'm just guessing that a lot of people don't wash it out. There's a lot of contamination. Right. So how much, like,
about 5% of all plastic made has actually been recycled. So,
like, how many truckloads are getting thrown away because nobody's rinsing out?
most of them.
I was gonna say, okay, so like recycling
Is
mostly garbage.
Recycling
because people are pat yourself on the back, but mostly it's garbage because people don't do that.
Yeah. Metal, glass, always recycle. Plastic recycling, clean it off, pat yourself on the back. I sort of call it recycling, hope that it gets recycled, but know that it's mostly just greenwashing and it's not actually going to get recycled.
Okay. That's terrible.
I know, it's awful. Any plastic item that has a number in a triangle can be recycled, true or false? That is correct. The plastic numbers tell you what type of plastic it is, but it's not really regulated if it's actually recyclable or not. I go by if it's bigger than a credit card and a thick enough plastic, it's not flimsy, it can be recycled. If it's a flimsier plastic, it's going to get caught in some trap in the recycling thing. It's not going to be successful.
But you can take your bags to the grocery store, and I don't know what they do with I'm religious. I take it there all the time, and I have no idea what they do with it.
I think they have specialty recycling systems. Like I know TerraCycle, which I have linked in here. We can talk about that more. They have a system where they'll take plastic bags, and I think they just run it through the system differently. I'm not entirely sure. No one quote me on this. But I know that they have a different system because when it's all thrown in a plastic bag is unknowingly in there, it can get caught in the machinery. But if they knowingly are all doing plastic bags, I'm assuming they just run it through the machinery differently.
But they have all these different types of plastic too. I mean, so I always wonder what, I'm sure there are things you can make out of mixed plastics, but I don't know.
Unlike glass and aluminum, which are worth a lot more once they're recycled, plastic, you can make things out of them, but I think they found that making something out of a recycled plastic is going to cost more, and it's not going to work or form as well as any plastic should. So that's why most plastic recycling isn't actually recycled, because it's not worth a lot.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
This is a tech question. Would you mind turning your mic back on? I'm going to turn this mic off because people are having trouble hearing you.
Oh, yes.
All right, can you hear me better?
Oh, the owl is giving an echo.
Hold on.
I can try talking really loud. I don't know how long this will last though. All right, once recyclables are collected and transported to the recycling sorting facility, they are hand sorted to remove problem materials, compressed into large bricks called bales, and sold to companies that clean out and convert them into new products, mechanically sorted with magnets, screens, and optical sorters, or all of the above.
All of the above.
I would say all of the above. If we say that the compression ones.
Yeah. That's an SAT trick that I learned was if there's an all of the above, 9 times out of 10, it's all of the above.
Yeah.
Which is nothing to do with I'm even planning on taking a standardized test. That is the recycling process. That's why things can get stuck in them, but even through all these mechanisms, you should still be recycling the correct thing. All right, which of these metal items is recyclable in your recycling bin? Tank, pipes, hangers, or none of them?
None.
Things like hangers, like bags, can get stuck on things, and the tanks and pipes just can't go through the same recycling process. I know that our DPW does special bays to pick up scrap metal. So save your scrap metal and bring it to DPW. All right, recycling saves energy, creates jobs, conserves natural resources, all of the above.
Oh.
You told us what the answer.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of the above. All right, garden hoses go in which bin? Trash or recycling?
Trash.
Trash.
These are another tangler. All right, it's okay to bag my recyclables before putting them in the bin.
No.
If you do this, you're a bad person. You're not actually. Because none of the stuff will get recycled. I don't know why. Every time I see someone, they have their recyclables clean, sorted, and then it's all in a plastic bag, and you're ruining everything. You're saving yourself money by not getting the bag. In Ashland, everything just goes directly in the bin. Everywhere else, things go directly in the bin.
That's right up there with putting your dog's poop in a plastic bag and leaving it in the forest.
Yeah.
Single-use batteries should go in the recycling bin.
No. Trash.
For regular batteries, just put them in the trash. I know I'm in Boston and we have a special collection for them. So if you don't want to throw them away, you can look for a battery proper recyclable. But if you have the rechargeable batteries or anything beyond a regular battery, you can bring it to DPW on their electronic pickup day, which is, I believe, the first Saturday of each month.
It's more than electronics, though. It's also anything that's toxic. So if you have poisons or something like that, take it then.
The paint and poisons.
Paints, yeah. Right.
All right. 3 of these belong in your household recycling bin, which does not. Cardboard, plastic wrap, glass jars, metal cans.
Plastic wrap.
Correct. It's another tangler. It's just too thin and flimsy. All right, these containers are ready for recycling.
No. No.
Yes, these are considered contaminated and will ruin the whole truck. All right, greasy pizza boxes are not recyclable.
True.
I think that's false.
No, they aren't.
I do think it's false.
True or false?
Yes.
No, they aren't recyclable.
It's false.
The composting.
I got this one wrong too when I first took it, and I've always split it in half, composted the greasy half, and then recycled the top half. But apparently they have found that grease is okay. I learned and was very surprised about this when I took this like a week ago.
What? So why is grease okay on a box?
Because as we've learned, recycling is
Doesn't
just
matter.
right.
Yeah.
Well, it's paper recycle.
Paper recycles well, and glass recycles well. And
as long as it doesn't get wet.
Right, but if the paper's in a thing with someone's dumped like a jar that has salt in it,
then it
and my neighbor like just put cat food cans full of cat food in them. Isn't it? If the whole truck is ruined, isn't the whole truck?
Yes, so it's better to put it in the compost. If you don't have access to compost, that's better than trash. And just hope that your neighbor's doing as well as you are.
So any greasy paper is fine?
Any greasy paper.
Okay, good to know. Not that I have greasy paper, but I'm just wondering.
Paper recycling.
All right, we got 11 out of 12. And Recycle Smart is a really great resource. I have it linked in my website, on the Ashland website. You can enter in anything and it will tell you if it's recyclable or not.
Good.
So that, in addition to that, we talked about TerraCycle, which takes plastic bags. TerraCycle also has programs where you can send back a lot of your everyday household items. TerraCycle is, I believe, a for-profit business where they have boxes that you can do, like zero waste boxes, you can do bag boxes, they have boxes for everything where they cost around $80, so they're kind of expensive, but they'll ship it to your house, you fill it with shampoo bottles, dog food, whatever, and you can ship it back. But they partner with a lot of companies and brands where they, here's one that's very popular. You buy Arm & Hammer toothpaste. They either have drop-off programs where you can go to a dentist office that will take back the tubes if you clean them out, or you can print out a mailing label, put them in a box, and mail them back for free. They have lots of companies that they work with, from dog food brands, shampoo, Baby Bell cheese, pens, contact lenses. They are most of the time brand specific because the brand pays for it. So if you buy the Walmart version of the Brita, you can't send them their filters. But if you use Brita filters, you have a way of getting rid of them that's free, not going to the landfill, and it's going to save you space in those trash bags that you pay for. So kind of a win-win. I can share with all of you this presentation so you have all these links as well. All right, so in addition to TerraCycling, knowing how to recycle better, there's so many other options when it comes to our waste and trying to reduce it. We can look to donate it, but only about 10% of items that we donate are actually resold or used by the donation organization. So try to be aware of this when you are donating. Try to not throw away things with giant holes in them or that are visibly dirty. Don't throw in random things to the donation bin and like, oh, they'll sell, they'll get $1 off this. Most of it just gets thrown away. So be more aware of that. Yeah.
I worked on the Planet Aid program here in Ashland, and we learned that if you do have something that's clean, even if it's torn, you can put it in the bins, the yellow bins at all of our schools that we set up, and they will repurpose them for like factory rags and stuff. So
wonderful. Right. So,
and if you have books, there is in Wall organization. Oh God, the dementia is terrible.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I used to work across the street from it.
Well, the Friends of the Ashland Library also take books and give them to another program that redistributes.
This one is nice because what they do is use the business to train kids who have been in foster care, and knowing something about how hard the difficulties kids in foster care have. I'm all for it. What's it called?
That's what it's called as well.
Yeah.
So I'll remember it, I'll look it up, and I'll link them up to me and I'll send it to everyone.
That sounds good.
They are. So do your research on organizations. I know if you send something that favors, they're not going to tear it into rags. They're just going to throw it away. So be aware if you are donating, if they will accept what you're sending them. And then take advantage of buy nothing groups. Ashland has a buy nothing group. You can put something on Facebook Marketplace for $1. People take it. You live on a busy enough street, put it out front. Someone will take it. Maybe not on trash day, but someone will take just as a way to not landfill. Once again,
Recycle. Do you know that one? Recycle.org is really good for doing that.
Yeah.
I collect stuff for immigrants that way. It's very useful.
Yeah. And it's just another way to not put things in your trash bags. All right, then composting. My little math breakdown, if you use more than 3 large trash bags a week, it's cheaper to sign up for Black Earth composting. You're going to save money on it. It's about $180 a bag, and this is $69.99 a week for 6 months of pickups. You can do weekly or bi-weekly. I included a photo of my little compost bin that I keep under my sink. It doesn't smell. And then I put in the photo of there's a 13-gallon bin. And just for reference, how big it is, I'm assuming that woman's maybe 5'5", average height of a woman. So they're not big. If you don't produce a lot of waste, it's just me and my partner, and we don't produce a lot of waste. So we do the bi-weekly, which is convenient, and then it reduces the cost as well.
Jean says to buy less is also a good option.
Yes, that's the start of it. Buying less, consuming less. Wonderful. So yeah, I highly recommend our program. The more people that sign up for Black Earth, the lower our price gets. And they're not smelly. That's what always people are worried about. They're not smelly. I don't like ripe banana, that smell of like the banana peel. So I just put them directly in the bin outside. Animals don't get to it. I'm in the city. I've yet to find a rat in my bin. I doubt you will find squirrels.
And you're in Boston, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we have raccoons.
Animals get to. We have to like drill a hole and like we have zip ties.
We have to bungee cord ours and public.
We bungee cord it to the deck.
Oh, geez.
Oh,
Animals will get it. And they will drag it like to your neighbor's house.
Oh, no.
So don't tell people that animals won't get it.
Okay, don't listen to me. Animals will get it.
And they will smell it. but it's okay. I mean, you just find a way to.
In that
Before they-
container?
Yeah.
I get it?
Yeah, so especially the raccoons, they can open the little latch.
They have little, like,
They've got little.
Oh
they
my
can-
gosh.
they pop that right open. They also know that they can knock it over and it'll bust open. And they'll rip through the bags, like you see like the compostable like plastic bag, like they'll rip right through those, and then there'll be like rice all over the street, and then you kind of get to clean it up. Anyway, animals will get to it, but you can secure it.
Yeah, you can secure it.
Yes.
Lock it down.
Don't listen to me, that animals will not get to it.
Holes, but it's still worth it.
Matthew says that they've used a black heavy-duty elastic strap that goes around the bin to keep the raccoons out.
That's ours. We're lifting them out of the whatever. It's not important. We've got both. We've got around and
amazing.
the top.
Wow. All right. I was scared of rats getting in line. Raccoons.
And so as part of that program, you get composted materials to add to your garden?
Yeah.
Right?
In the spring, you can get a waiver for a free bag of compost, which you can accept if you have a house and you do it. You don't have a yard, so I'll either pass mine on or give it to someone else. But it is a great service. And you can put meat, you can put bones, you can put things that you wouldn't regularly put in your backyard compost. It will all break down.
That's where community gardens come in handy too.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's working
I
now.
picked you up on that one. All right. And then the last part of this, I just wanted to talk about the Inflation Reduction Act and ways that it can save some residents money. I'm going to go to this link, which breaks everything down. So the Inflation Reduction Act is going to have a lot of ways that people can save money. If you're renting, you can share this with your landlord, and I wouldn't know why they wouldn't want to do some upgrades. So first of all, for new vehicles, for EVs, you can get up to $7,500 in tax credits for new vehicles and $4,000 on used vehicles. These are depending on the vehicle, but you can look it up. I know for the Chevys, you can get the full $7,500. I think for the Fords, you can get the full $7,500.
That has to do with the components, right? They have to be made in America or something.
Yeah, they have to be made in America.
America or Mexico or Canada.
Yeah,
America. North America.
And then their battery, I believe, has to have or fit a certain. I'm not really sure how something.
It's only EVs, it's not hybrid vehicles.
It is hybrid.
Oh, it is hybrid. Okay.
They plug-in hybrid.
Plug-in hybrid.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Which you can plug in across town, as I showed you before. So if you live in an apartment, if you live somewhere where you can't charge it, your cost of charging doesn't go up a lot. I believe when my parents have 2 plugins and theirs went up like $50, but they're not paying for gas. So that is easy money out of the pocket or in the pocket.
So I have a colleague in Finland who just drove over to Sweden last weekend and picked up a Volkswagen Golf that's a biofuel car. It's got 2 tanks in it. And so 2 holes where you would put in your gas or your biofuel. Do we have programs like that coming on board in the US yet?
Not that I've heard of where it's embedded in the cars already. Europe's way ahead of us when it comes to that. I'm assuming soon, because for Massachusetts, we're going to be off of fossil fuel vehicles. You can't buy them in 2035. So I'm assuming people will look for other ways to fuel their cars. Biofuels are great.
Peggy asks, can I get a rebate for regular electric stove, not an induction?
You can. I have that on here. That's a few pages away.
Just hold on, Peggy, we're getting there.
He wants induction.
Oh,
Yeah, the inductions are great. As someone, I rent and I have a gas stove, and every time I turn it on, I think about how much nicer it would be if it was an induction stove. I just read that Stanford did a study that gas stoves emit methane even when they're turned off.
oh.
So my kitchen window is always open. My heat bill is crazy, but I don't want to breathe that in.
You know, you can buy fairly cheaply a induction cooktop that goes on top of your gas stove, and you can you know, is if you have a plug somewhere nearby, you can get an induction cooktop, and they're not terribly expensive, to my surprise.
I wonder if there's a rebate on that as well.
Probably.
Hopefully, I'll look into that. I have just a fear of carbon monoxide poisoning in the night, even though I have the alarms everywhere. I don't like my gas stove. But there are, back on track, there are rebates on windows, doors, installation. You can get them on HVAC systems, on electrical panels, home energy audits. There's so many different savings. So if you needed a new boiler, if you needed new windows, now's really the time. Even if you didn't want to look for the most energy efficient, I don't know why you wouldn't. It's going to save you money in the long run. But yeah.
I just want to go back to the induction stove. Peggy had a follow-up comment that they emit high magnetic radiation, so they're not good for the health.
It's not true.
Not true.
Well,
Not true.
you might want to speak to a building biologist to look at the science on that. I've heard the same thing.
Not true.
And oftentimes they can,
It's magnetic.
I know, but oftentimes it can put dirty electricity on the wiring of the house that can emanate out from the walls into the living space.
But that's true of any electricity.
It is. It is. So, but two wrongs don't make a right.
And Miles says that magnetic is not radiation.
Right. Well,
So,
it is
well,
a type of radiation.
it's an ELF, an extremely low level frequency, but it can have biological effects.
Wow, you guys all know a lot.
I don't know.
Thank you. Yeah, so
I've had one for 7 years and I'm no worse off for it.
There's also received 30% rebates on residential solar and solar water heaters, small wind, geothermal heat pumps. I had a professor in college who had a giant wind turbine in his front yard. If that's your thing, now's the time to get them.
I think I would love that. I have a question about the rebates. So are those state rebates or federal rebates?
These are federal.
Okay, so that doesn't include what we might get from Massachusetts.
Yeah, I have mass saves next.
Got
so
it,
we're
okay.
going to see mass rebates as well. Lots of rebates. Going back to credits for electric vehicles. Now that we're in 2023, all of the electric vehicles that might have run out of their funding have reset. So the Teslas, the Chevys, the Toyota hybrids, those are all back to their full potential of rebates. And they will be until 2032. So you got time to make the change, but I recommend doing it sooner rather than later.
But is there inventory? That's what we were running up against, is that there's just not a lot out there because of the restrictions as well as the demand.
And they have to be able to set up all their operations to service these vehicles. My husband bought one of the the Rivians, the first electric truck.
Oh.
And I think Chelmsford is the only service area out there. So, but he is actually going to be selling that. So if anybody wants to buy an electric truck, we've got one.
The Connolly Chevy does a nice job of servicing. I have a Chevy plug-in hybrid that's no longer made. They've done a nice job.
That is one. I have a Toyota plug-in hybrid and I've yet to have serious service issues with it yet, but I bring it back to the Toyota dealership to do all my work on it because the local auto body shop that I've been going to for years, they might not have the same knowledge. Hopefully in the next 2 years through training. That's why it'd be great to have more programs through schools like Keep Tech and more training opportunities so people can do it. I don't want to be bringing my car to Toyota every time. There's another chart. Sorry if anyone gets motion sick. This goes to retrofit that will help cut energy usage. So over here is more of the rebate amounts. The lesser of $8,000 for single family homes. That's a lot. All right, here is upgrades for heat pumps for water heaters, heat pumps for space heating, electric wiring, insulation, electrical panels. There's a lot of money that you just need to look for. Mass saves, which we're going to next, will have, electric stove cooktop. Oh, there's another page. No more than $840. I have seen that the induction stoves aren't that much more, though I'm now hearing they might be harmful. So I don't know.
Yeah, just do your research.
Yes, we should all be doing our research on it. I will definitely look more into it. But I've heard that they're not going to break the bank, and that is a good rebate on them. Any questions on the federal funding? Now I'm going to go masssave.com, which should all be your best friends. Anything you need, Mass Saves, got it. They have their own Inflation Reduction Act, frequently asked questions. And then their residential and incentives. They have their own long list of rebates that you can get. And this is a combination of federal and state. So this will tell you the most amount of money that you can get. The majority of the federal rebates can be stacked with mass rebates. I don't think all of them, but I'm sure most of the residential ones can. Smart thermostats up to $100 rebate really knocks the price off them. If you're looking for the like the Nest thermostat, those are great for controlling temperatures, especially if you have a second home. You can do it remotely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, be careful with those. Those do emit radio frequency, microwave radiation.
Mm-hmm. Every time I say something, I'll say, well, the radiation. And these do a lot of smaller things. Power strips. Even if you need power strips, you should look for the most efficient one that's going to save you energy, it's going to save you money, and why not get a discount on them? Lawn equipment, room air cleaners, shower fixtures, pretty much any home appliance and beyond. I would look it up on Mass Save before going to purchase something, because they might just have a rebate or savings for you.
Yeah, if I could add, so a friend of mine left Ashland and moved down to Plymouth and built a house, so they got all new appliances. And we measured the radio frequency coming off of her smart stove, and it was really high. But in her settings, you could go in and turn off that feature, which was great. And then my husband ordered a new one. And I went looking for the settings to turn it off. And on my unit, I couldn't. And in the scientific literature, they want you to be at 10 or less. And the unit is a microwatt per square meter. And when I measured the radiation coming from my new stove, it was at 1,090,000. You want to be at 10 or less. Fortunately, here in Ashland, we are the first public library in the nation to have a radio frequency detection meter on loan in our public library. Mm-hmm. A doctor and I went after a cultural council grant in Newton, so they have one. Pittsfield just got one because Verizon put up a cell tower on top of the neighborhood that made a lot of people really sick. So you got to be very judicious with what smart means. It could save energy, but it could have a darker side to it.
Yeah, definitely do your research on everything before you put them, especially in your home. You want everything to be healthy and happy. Yeah.
Miles had a caveat to what he said. He said he meant to say magnetics are a form of non-ionizing radiation, not ionizing as in X-rays. It's same as your cell phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is true, but our cell phones, if you look in the legal fine print, it warns you in there to keep that device away from your body because it's transmitting microwave radiation from multiple antennas. New Hampshire is the first government in the country to have done the peer-reviewed scientific investigation of the literature, and it is very biologically harmful. Even low-level non-thermal, non-ionizing it doesn't have to break the atom to cross home.
Does anyone have any questions about either town programs that we have, ways that they can save on their recycling, composting, Inflation Reduction Act?
Before the pandemic, we had a program called Grounds Around Town, which was where a lot of the coffee shops and groups like that would leave their buckets of coffee out back, and you could go swap with your own bucket, and then you could use that coffee as fertilizer. Is that program still?
That's never heard of it. I've only been here post pandemic. I will talk to Beth Reynolds, our she'll know. Maybe we can get that. So it was a great program.
Whole Foods. I saw recently that they had a bucket there, so I think they're probably still. I used to do that, but I haven't been doing that as of recent. But I did see a bucket there, so I presume they're still doing it, which I guess it's Amazon now that's doing it, not Whole Foods. But you know, the bucket was there, so I would assume they're doing that.
You know, some Starbucks do that where they'll give out their old ground.
Yeah, and Starbucks used to it was as you had mentioned, there were many stores in the area that saved the grounds. All you had to do was bring in a fresh bucket, and you could take the old bucket out. And many stores got on board on that.
It is acidic, so you have to be careful on what plants you put it on.
It's not everybody back.
Oh, look at our friends out there.
Yes, Peggy?
Yes, I'm sneaking in from Hopkinton, by the way. I'm on the Sustainable Green Committee there, and I'm always interested in what other towns are doing. And my particular question is, has Ashland had any luck with doing a townwide ban of styrofoam or straws or any of those, or plastic water bottles, or what is the status on that? Are you trying to do anything? I just don't know where to begin yet, but trying to see what other towns have done.
Well, first of all, go Hillers. Like I said, I'm from Hopkinton. We have had our successful plastic bag ban, which I'm sure Chuck knows a lot more about than I do because he was on the committee.
Actually, it came right after they
really?
That. Yeah.
All right. I would love to get a ban on styrofoam and plastic straws and plastic water bottles and sort of an overall ban on single-use plastics. Right now, that's not something that we have actively in the works, but I don't know if there's been tests of that without success.
The styrofoam was hard because, of course, anytime you buy anything from Amazon, it comes in, styrofoam, or Amazon, or any of the other. There used to be a company that recycled styrofoam, but
that's
went out of business. I understand it.
Right. We did set up the plastic thing up the farmers market. We don't do any plastic as much as we can at the farmers market, and we actually tried to we avoided all the styrofoam for a while. But the problem, and we did for a while also recycled the styrofoam when it was still possible, but that company went out of business. But now we also have no straws at the farmers market that we don't allow in general, plastic straws, because that seems to be a problem. But the problem also seems to be with plastic at the farmers market that some cups, the compostable cups, were hard to differentiate from the regular cups, and then became a very difficult problem in the recycling bins. What are we going to do with it, and what goes where? So we have no program right now in Ashland to do any of those things.
Peg asked if there's a town representative who we can speak to regarding rooftop solar.
Yeah, that'd be me. If you have questions about rooftop solar, if it's personal at your house, I can talk to you deeper about it on another time. My email was in the PowerPoint. Send me an email and we can chat.
I will send your email out in a recap email to everybody who registered. Nick says that coffee grounds can be a whole discussion, lots of mythology about it. It's just organic material, not some magic dust. For example, most of the acidity is brewed out of the grounds. One would need to use an inordinate amount to have any permanent effect on soil acidity. I wanted to know about the little coffee things, you know, like the Keurig things. Like I do my own. I use a little reusable one, but I'd heard for a long time that the little pods were just filling up landfills.
Yeah, I think it was the BBC or someone did an article on how those Keurig cups are actually like one of the best things for the planet. And then I read on NPR how they didn't fully disprove it because they had points in it. Doing a reusable pod is wonderful because using a Keurig where you're doing one pot or one cup at a time, you're using less energy, you're using less water, and you're likely going to have less waste out of it. So if you have a Keurig at home, don't throw it away. Get one of those things. They are filling our landfills. They are technically recyclable. I saw we have them in town hall, people use them for their coffee. I think the Starbucks one, it said recyclable, like on it, and then in tiny print, if you take it apart properly and rinse it out.
Because it's in plastic.
Yeah, you gotta throw away the top. It looks like it's metal, but it's got plastic in there. Scoop out the coffee grounds and then the bag on the inside, fully take that out, and then you have the plastic cup, which is technically recyclable. It's, I'd say, a thick enough plastic that if it makes it to a recycling center and it's not contaminated, it could be recycled. But it's just better to do. They have the little individual ones. I think they're like $8.
I did see that the band Green Day has come out with compostable K-cup. Fully. Really? Yes. They've advertised to me on Facebook. I've not looked further into it. I don't have that machine. I don't use it, but yes, they did. I did see an ad that they have fully compostable individual K-cups.
Go Green Day.
So
I was gonna say the band.
The band, yes. They do other things, Nina. They drink coffee.
I feel like they might feel pressured to do something because their name is Green Day.
Yeah, well,
they better be having compostable.
I know.
Yeah, I have seen some that are fully compostable or biodegradable, but that doesn't always mean a lot. But yeah, so that study that K-cups might not actually be the devil for plastic usage, the machines themselves can actually be beneficial. I think the best ways are cold brew coffee, where you just put the grounds in and then strain it out, or French presses, I think, have the least amount of waste.
Yeah, and they say to be sure and turn that machine off when you're not using it, because otherwise it spends the whole day reheating the hot water and anticipating the next cup. So you don't want to just leave it on all day.
Yeah, make sure it's not. Like any electronic, if you're not using it, unplug it, because it still will use some tiny amount of energy.
Okay, so I have a question that's sort of related.
All right.
Has anybody else noticed the extraordinarily large leaves from the oaks and the maples this year? I brought show and tell to see if anybody else has seen them. This one I just picked up in the town forest.
Massive.
At State Park. This has shrunk a bit because it's a thinner maple leaf, and it was huge this year. These oaks were in my neighborhood, and I thought maybe it was the drought, because we went to a stage 3 drought here. And then I was down in Georgia for Thanksgiving, and I was walking in my sister's neighborhood, and I saw giant leaves too. And I asked my partner, or actually I had a friend visiting from Switzerland at New Year's, and he knows a little bit about everything. So I said, Philip, have you seen any large leaves? And he says, I can't believe you mentioned the large leaves. So it's happening everywhere. And I just wondered, with those of you who are so in tune to what's going on our planet, if you've seen any research or anything that would explain the giant leaves.
That's not. Dr. Solomon, our conservation agent, I feel like that's something she would know. She knows everything and anything about nature and natural resources. I'm sure she would give you an in-depth explanation if she knows if there is a scientific reason, but I have not.
Yeah, and I know not everything is radio frequency or EMS, but we've put thousands of satellites beaming microwave radiation down. And we do have scientific studies showing that radio frequency causes plant growth, but it weakens the structure of the plant. So I'm hoping there's another reason. Anybody knows?
I think that one of the things that we should consider in the size of those leaves is not the amount of water we had this year, but the amount of water that we had the year before. And that's when the buds were made or formed in the fall of that year to produce those leaves. And so that's why we see a lot of the big leaves. Now, if there's something else happening that I've not heard of. But yeah, I would not be real concerned. I would take a look at this coming year's leaves and see how they compare to those. Oaks have a tendency to throw up big leaves sometimes. That's just part of their nature. Now on the maples, I didn't see what you had there. Norway maple leaves are always big.
This one was bigger than my head when it was fresh. And you know, I've been walking my neighborhood in Ashland for 26 years, and I've never ever seen these before.
Did it have a black spot on it? Not
black. This was a turning of the leaves color, so I don't think it was.
I was trying to figure out if it was a Norway or a sugar. If it's a Norway maple, then it is much more likely that they'll do the same thing as the oaks. If they have a lot of water and they can build up the buds from the year before, then they're going to throw up a big leaf. And Norway maples throw up big leaves all the time.
Well, thank you for that. I'll look into it.
I've noticed big squirrels too. So.
Eating big oaks.
I know.
It's a conflict.
Thank you. So I have a question about EVs because we're thinking about getting one. Is you know, we said that there's a thing about demand and the components and all of that stuff, but now because of the demand, the dealers are charging extra for them, like a premium for them. Do you think that that will lessen maybe in the next 6 to 8 months?
I think so.
Which car are you looking at?
We were looking, I think, at the Ioniq.
Yeah, that's what we just bought, and you have to go to Merrick and
Arlington?
God, I forget where.
Arlington?
Yeah, maybe Arlington. They're not charging it.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll check because we went to some place, I think Plainville or something, and they were charging $5,000 extra.
That's what the Chevy dealer on the Hyundai dealer on Framingham did. I told them, I probably won't say what I told them, but you can imagine.
When it comes to car shopping, you always have to be negotiating. So I think, think that rebates coming, they'll likely reduce rate.
But not for Hyundais.
No, well, we'll just wait.
But they are lovely cars. We just got that.
I'm jealous.
Anyone have any other questions?
Anybody online have any questions?
If I could just add, anybody who's interested in learning about the biological impacts of today's wireless technology, I'll hang this poster upstairs. It's got a QR code so you can scan it. We're doing 2 free webinars every month now to teach the public what the science is telling us, what the biological effects are, and just little simple steps we can all do. And that our own town has a meter you can borrow. It's up in the Library of Things upstairs. It's called the Acoustimeter. So anybody wants to come learn, we can have awesome technology, but we really shouldn't be radiating ourselves in the process.
And so I had said that I would send out a recap with your email. I can send Becca's email. And would you mind if I shared your slides?
Yeah.
They have all the links and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and the slides, you'll all get that in a day or so. Plus the recording that started 10 minutes in.
Samantha, I was wondering if it would be possible for the town to come up with a preferred list of vendors, for various companies and various businesses. I don't know I know other towns are doing that as well. And I think people always seem to be asking, you know, this is for heat pumps, for solar, for stoves, for all those kind of things. So you don't have to recommend any particular one, but if you can make a list, you know, that you can maybe get from other towns, and I think that'd be very useful for the town.
I definitely can do that. I think we still have a list of preferred vendors from the Clean Heat Challenge.
Right. We do have that. Yeah, we have that. Yeah.
Based on some
Rob
of those
was very involved in
Rob was all about that
challenge.
Yes, I will update that with. I can look for just about everything that's on the Inflation Reduction Act and the Massachusetts rebates that we have, and get local preferred vendors.
Right. Okay.
Just give me a week or two.
Full time.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for being here, both online and in person. For those online, I apologize for the sound issues. I hope they're better now. But I will send out that recap, and we'll continue having these conversations. We have a bunch of programs coming up about sustainability and climate justice and things like that. We also have an environmental book club that meets every month. It's the first Wednesday of the month at 6:30 or something. 6:30. Thank you. Yes, I totally know my library. But we have a lot of initiatives, and I hope that you all will continue joining us for them. Samantha, thank you. This has been really enlightening.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions for her, Samantha, feel free to email her afterwards.
Yeah, so stop by Town Hall on my Slack.
That's right. So good night, everybody. I'm going to end the online meeting.
Good
night.
Bye-bye.